Hi there everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I would actually like to do something a little bit different because it's the weekend. I want to do something a little bit different that's not stock analysis. So I had the idea of I wonder what my portfolio would have actually performed like in comparison to that of the S&P 500 when I was born to today. So we actually have a website that can actually do this, and I'm going to put in all of these stocks and put them equal weights. We put all of these stocks into that portfolio, compare it to the S&P 500 SPY specifically, and see how that actually did in comparison to the S&P 500 index within that time frame, just to see if maybe my portfolio underperformed or overperformed. So with that said, let's get started with this video. Alright guys, so we are here at Portfolio Visualizer. For all of those of you who don't know, this website is actually very cool. It's free, you don't even have to sign up for it. And it allows you to compare stocks with one another, compare indices with one another, make entire portfolios, and adjust them weighted wise or however you want, and see how they did in comparison to one another within a certain time frame that you want. So, as I said in the beginning, I want to see my portfolio, take the top 25 stocks that are in my portfolio by weight and put them into this portfolio, put them in equal weights, and compare them to the SPY ETF. So let's start with, of course, the time year. I'm going to put, guys, 1986. I was born in February 1986, so this is going to take it from January. Perfectly fine. It's essentially the same thing. And we're going to end it at actually 2014, okay? Because what I want to see is how much this portfolio would be worth at the time that I was 18. So let's put in 2014 because I turned 18 in 2014. And let's just say that my parents were very generous, and the initial amount that they actually put into this portfolio, the day that I was born, right, the day I got my social security and the day that I was born, they put in $10,000 into this portfolio, and they continued to put in a minimum $100 every single month into this portfolio. As you can see right here, contribution amount $100, and let's also adjust for inflation as well. And the contribution frequency, we're gonna put in monthly, or you could put this as yearly as well, and you just put in 1200. That's perfectly fine as well. And no rebalancing, keep everything the same, just no rebalancing. There is no leverage. And let's say that we do want the dividends to be reinvested. As you all know, my portfolio is mainly, well, it's not even mainly, it's all made out of dividend stocks, and the whole point of that is to keep reinvesting those dividends and have those dividends pay for more and more shares as they come in month over month over month. So we do want dividends to be reinvested, and I want to set the benchmark to be the SPY index. Now, originally I had VOO. Unfortunately, VOO wasn't active in 1996. I think it was around maybe like 2000 something. We could try it afterwards, but I put here SPY for that reason. As you can see, I have allocated around 25 assets, my top biggest 25 assets in my portfolio. Now, I actually had to change a couple here because unfortunately, some of them weren't available prior to a certain date. For example, I don't have Store, even though Store is by far one of my biggest assets right now. Fortunately, I think they were started in 2014. And also when it comes to AbbVie is a huge one as well. However, AbbVie was a spinoff of Abbott Laboratories, so I just put in, you know what, Abbott Laboratories, and that's it. So I've taken out a few and I've changed a few as well, but nonetheless, these are the top 25 assets, all equally weighted at 4%. And once you actually hit analyze right here, this pretty much just tells you your portfolio results from 1986 to 2014. And as you can see, if we actually scroll down here, my portfolio with the initial balance of $10,000 and doing the exact same thing with the S&P 500 ETF, SPY, Trust, my portfolio balance in 2014 was a whopping almost $175,000, whereas if you were to do the exact same thing, reinvest the dividends with the S&P 500, all of that, you would actually get only $108,000 in the S&P 500 if that was your entire portfolio. So as you can see, my portfolio pretty much outdid the S&P 500 all over the place, right? I mean, I don't think it's ever not even once been under. Even when the S&P 500 went down, my portfolio did go down as well. As we can see right here, we see a nice dip in 2009. My portfolio went to around what, 36,889, and the S&P was at 21,000. And even then, after the recovery, it still remains significantly higher than that of the S&P 500, which is actually really, really solid. So if this were to have happened, well, I would have had a portfolio value alone of $175,000. Now we also see here the CAGR, which is the compound annual growth rate. And this is in regards to this dividend. As you can see right here, the dividends of this portfolio was actually increasing at 16.25%, where the S&P was only at 13.36%. Which is again really, really good. And in the best years, look at this, in the best years, I was up more than double of the S&P 500. It would have gone up to 67.46, whereas the S&P was only 33.48. The worst years, and this is, by the way, something, guys, that I definitely have to point out, is that even if the portfolio is going down, the whole point, at least for me, for having a dividend portfolio is to, even though it will go down, like as we have seen within the past couple days or weeks, where indices have just been falling 4% or whatever, even though my portfolio will come down, the whole goal is to not come down as much. So you can see right here, perfect example. In my portfolio, the worst year I was down 23.27%, whereas the worst year in the S&P 500, it was down almost 37%, which is just insane, right? That's absolutely insane. And we have actually seen that in my portfolio recently. A couple days ago, when the S&P fell like 4% or 5%, I was only down around 2%, right? My portfolio was down 2%. So that just goes to show the power of dividends and just the power of overall choosing good companies at a good valuation and not overpay for them, right? That's why I make stock analysis, to show you guys how not to overpay for companies. Because let me tell you something as well. So you can see that this portfolio is significantly overtaking the S&P 500. This is assuming a $100 contribution every single month. And it also, guys, it doesn't take into account as well the human element. For example, if my parents were to have been smart, if they were to have been really savvy when it comes to, okay, the stock market's falling, this is the time to invest, this is the time to really just pump everything we got into the market, then right here at this point, at the 2008-2009, my parents would have probably contributed a lot more than $100 that month, probably like 1,000 or so, right, or more, right? So by that logic right here, boom, my portfolio at that point, it would have gone down more. However, the recovery would have been significantly higher as well. And it doesn't just go for this dip as well, it also goes for like the dot-com bubble and everything like that. So again, this isn't an end-all be-all. It does give you a pretty good idea as to where you will be for a certain time frame. However, it does not take into account, again, the human element, which is why when I see red days, I'm like, oh, I gotta buy now, because I'm thinking about this exact same thing. And now let's actually do something a little bit different. Let's actually bring this from the year I was born all the way to today and include the year to date. We don't need to include the year to date. So let's actually do that from 1986 to 2022. We're gonna hit analyze, and if we scroll down, well, we can see that right now my portfolio has outgrown the S&P 500 by a little bit less than $200,000. Looking at the exact same metric, portfolio one, my portfolio, same initial balance, $100 input every single month. My portfolio balance today would be $467,000, whereas the S&P 500 was only going to be $271,000. The CAGR is even just as high at 15.72, whereas the S&P 500 really didn't even change much. The best year was 67.46 for my portfolio, and the S&P was only 33.48, and the worst year was negative 23.27, and the S&P's was 36.81. So as you can see right here, this is still even more of an instance as to why it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. Now, does that mean that you could just buy any stock or whenever? No, absolutely not. Again, you need to understand like buying companies that are not overpriced and understand companies' intrinsic value. But as I said, very, very basic view as to what kind of portfolio you would have if my parents were to have done this. So as it stands, guys, this is just me trying to tell you, especially if you have kids, especially if you have like, if you're a guardian to like a child or whatever, if you are worried about investing because the market's going down, oh my God, you don't want to invest when the market's going down. I just showed you guys perfect example as to why you should 100% invest in the market as soon as possible, especially for your kids. Because think about that. My portfolio was just a little less than $200,000 from 1986 to 2022 difference in comparison to the SP 500. And again, that's not assuming that my parents would be way more aggressive buying when the market actually went down. It would be significantly higher, probably close to $1 million portfolio if they were to have done that. But nonetheless, that just goes to show that, guys, invest in your child's future, especially, and do not be afraid to invest when the market goes down. In fact, that's the time when you should be investing the most into high quality companies that you have a really high conviction in. That pretty much is it for this video. Like if you like, comment, subscribe. It really does help here with the algorithm on YouTube. Guys, I also have new tech sites, BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble. I am actually thinking about doing an exclusive series for those websites alone. So if you want to watch it, the links are in the description below. It's going to be a parody. So if you guys want to see something funny, just stop by and check it out. I did post a community post about it, but nonetheless, I have not done it yet. But when I do, I will tell you guys when the video is up. So just letting y'all know that. You also have a Let's Play channel, link in the description below as well. So if you want to see me playing Sonic Unleashed and other games, you can follow me there as well. With that said, peace out, and I will see you all in the next video.